welcome back to another episode of the South Star Classroom. I'm Charles. That's David. I was about to say I'm David. I am not David. I can never be the David. Cool hat though. That's Omar, who should have never learned how to use all the little things that Apple has to offer.
I'm gonna use them, baby. I want you to see them lasers, baby.
Yeah, man. Mm-hmm. But how you gentlemen doing, man? It's good to see and hear from y'all.
Dave?
But let's go with David.
I gotta give it up to David.
Yeah. Omar is in the middle.
I got some vitamins, man. And then putting some vitamins, baby.
We are doing well. We got the got a new hat today from my favorite
That's very
San Diego surf shop. It's like San Diego's oldest surf shop.
Can you skateboard?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Still,
that's straight up SoCal.
We got the Padres color scheme going, so we got a wild card game going on tonight. So we barely made it to the playoffs. So
shout out San Diego Padres. We made a push.
Yeah. So excited about that. We got this debate tonight, which is going to be interesting. We're going to get into it. A couple of other things. We were this last weekend was able to attend a kind of local San Diego tradition, which is known as the Miramar Air Show. This is the world's largest air show, and it's a 3-day event. And we went on Sunday. My son and I. He's really into aeronautics and the engineering behind, aeronautics and all that stuff. And it was like full day out at Miramar, which is a Marine air base. So it's not Navy, it's Marines. And man, it was incredibly like overwhelming. They had like all these planes on display. We got to see, the B-2. We got to see the B-29, like the cousin of the Enola Gay that dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima. There's only 2 that are active, and this is one of the 2 that was active. We got to see actual like drones, right? Like the modern drones. And then the demonstration was everything from like the Red Bull Air Force, which just do like the crazy aeronautics and stuff, which is insane. Up to the Blue Angels, which we all know, and then I think the most impressive thing we saw was the F-39 or the one of our newest aircraft, fighting aircraft, and it's able to like hover. It can like take off and land from like a stationary position. It can hover, and then it's stealth. It was very intense. It was like a full day of just like planes, just flying by us, like breaking the sound barrier. And so it brought up this interesting thing about San Diego is obviously like a military town. We know that. And I'm not opposed. I'm not a big supporter. I'm not opposed to the military. I think the military has its place. But also like hearing the news today about what happened what's happening in Israel, right, with this attack by Iran, and thinking about like the billions of dollars that the U.S. government has subsidized or given to or sold, or I don't know how it works, but how we basically are funding or supporting Israel with all of this like military technology, right? It's totally crazy, and we saw a lot of this military technology on Sunday. So just kind of making the connection. It's interesting couple of days of reflection. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, check the private messages, David. I will check in. I am man, it's been so busy, just been traveling and working and traveling. I've had a full day today, and I have a full day after we finished the show. And our special guest, who I will not name yet, was like surprised that I'm like, I do dress, I do have like a job and go to meetings and stuff. So I need y'all to not be surprised that I wear more than just sweats and sweatpants. I will say, man, I have a lot of friends that are being hit by this hurricane, like a lot.
Yeah.
We actually started our new national cohort. We did the orientation, and a few of our young people are in that where just didn't have power and stuff. Centaur is actually one of those people. He's on with us. I think he just got his power back a few hours ago. So to those folks, my heart definitely goes out. I think y'all have dealt with me when I last year when we had that derecho or a few years ago, and it just was crazy here. So we got a little bit of that storm, but we didn't get it like they got it. So my prayers go out to them. And I would throw it over to Omar to give his update and also to welcome a very, very special guest. Go grab this coffee.
Get that coffee, man.
I need it, man. It's gonna be a long one, bro. It's gonna be a long
coffee, man. yeah, man. So El Paso, I guess, is like little sister to many cities, little sister to San Antonio, in this case, little sister to San Diego, because our AAA baseball team is the feeder team for the Padres. So we're excited that the Padres made the playoffs because that's a win for the El Paso Chihuahuas. Yeah, dude, we are the El Paso Chihuahuas. If you haven't looked up the mascot, it is actually pretty funny and pretty cool. And I remember when Dave Oberman was a big deal. Is it Oberman? The guy, like, he had his own show. He was on Sports Center for forever. I actually really loved his show before he kind of went off the rails. Was a big fan of the Chihuahuas, as are many people at ESPN Sports Center. But then in addition to that, dude, we have the in October, it's a very big deal for El Pasoans. We have the Amigo Air Show. So that is like the sister to the Miramar Air Show. I'm pretty damn sure that's where we got the idea from to begin with. And man, do El Pasoans love it, dude. It's like El Pasoans are stuck in a time warp because I can guarantee you that the Scorpions Rock You Like a Hurricane, that song that came out in like 1986 or something, will be played nonstop. Rock you like a hurricane. Yeah. As like jets fly by and supersonic sounds come out. Yo, Centaur, man, amazing. Thank you for chiming in. So happy to hear that you're doing better, brother. But that's what's going on in El Paso. And just a quick heads up for our audience. I'm actually happily taking a much needed break, but sad that I won't be on South Star for a few weeks. So my fantastic co-hosts are going to be taking, I mean, they always take the helm, but they will be taking more of the helm as I am gone for the next 3 weeks. And that leads me to introduce our very special, very beloved, wonderful guest / co-host, ladies and gentlemen, back by popular demand. We are so happy to see here the legend, the beauty, the queen. Man, we got Jubilee Ransom here, man. All right.
Hi. Of course, Meadow starts barking as soon as I go up. Hi. I'm so excited to be back. Thank you. It's like all sorts of newness going on, all sorts of healing and peace and ascension and acceleration and all the good things. So I'm feeling great and I'm glad to be back. And I love each and every one of you. And if my computer actually would work, that would be a heart thing. Charles, say nothing. We don't want to hear it.
I'm drinking.
Use your imagination. This is a screen filled with hearts.
I said nothing at all. I said not a word.
He said two hearts that beat as one. Hearts.
I gave Charles a shout
Omar,
out.
you should do the intro to make it special for our matriarch to be back. She can't even get through a sentence without shooting shots. I'm glad to see nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed. And you know what? I know it's only a matter of time before Charles starts to shoot his shots. You guys know this is true. I gave Charles a shout out. I said, I like what you did there. I see how you put this fit together.
No, she made it seem like I'm always riffraff. Like, hold on, you ain't see the whole thing. Wait a sec. Hold on.
My goodness. Yes, stand up. Can we get the whole thing? They gotta see the pants.
Oh yeah, look at that.
You gotta see the whole. You see that?
Yo, look at the pants, man. Look at them pants, man.
Jubilee
fly ass pants.
Only because Jube has been gone. With the we good.
Oh my goodness,
man. Fly ass pants, man. But can you be fly on a plane?
Damn it.
Okay,
I can't do this, Jube.
I'm not mad.
Look at them glasses and shit, man. This man look like he's going to like.
It's called having LASIK, and the sun is bad for your eyes. But it's all good, man. We are so happy to have you back, Jude. We have missed you. terribly. We hope that you are feeling good, feeling better.
Yes.
We did not talk about why you were going. We don't need to. It's up to you, but we love you. We're so happy to have you back and have you jumping right back into the saddle. So,
yes. Thank you. You know, it's October, so I am going to share because October is Think Pink and Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I will share that I recently become a 2-time breast cancer survivor. 16 years ago, I was diagnosed and I made it 16 years cancer-free. And then this February, I was diagnosed again with breast cancer. And so for the past few months, I've just been focusing on my health and healing and praying and all the things, and really relying on the strength of God in my village. And here I am again, cancer-free, baby, one more time. So prayerfully, never again will I have to go through that. But to all the women watchers, make sure you get checked, men too, because men also get breast cancer. So just stay in tune with your body. Keep up with your appointments with your doctors and all the things, because both times I located the tumor, so you just be in tune with your body and keep up with your appointments and stay healthy and well and wise. Thank you.
Well, welcome back, ma'am.
Welcome back.
We loved you, we miss you, and we are so happy that you are back with us, that you are healthy. You look beautiful. And we have all missed you. We get your messages every week or when you're watching the show, and we always know it's you because it's a bunch of hearts and emojis and mushy stuff. I'm like, I don't think that's David just randomly sending that. So
I don't know, man. Don't underestimate David's love.
David, he's a heart. He's a heart.
I guess. Well, there goes the damn dog. So the dog is back as well. So listen, we got a full night tonight. We might not get through all of this, but tonight is an important night. I actually have to do a panel later on tonight after this on this, but tonight is the VP debate, supposed to be the VP debate. We as of now, nobody has dropped out. I would not be surprised if JD Vance was like, deuces, I don't think this is a good idea to do. Let's just ride this thing on out. That's what I would have did if I was running that party. But and just really starting from there, like given that education just has not been mentioned much. It wasn't mentioned much at all in the first debate. What do we think, tonight's candidates, like one, do we think that tonight's candidates will finally like actually bring it up? And whether they do or not, what should they be talking about as far as education is concerned?
Yeah.
Let's start with Ju, and after this, we're gonna treat Ju like she'd live here again. But I have no comment for whatever Jubilee says for the first answer. So go ahead.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'll accept it. And Dave is not in his head, but I think in your heart, Dave, it's not gonna last long. So
I said the first question.
Okay, the first question. So Tim Walz, I think, listen, the dude is an educator. Right. I think once an educator, always an educator. That's one of the things that inspired me about. He's like down home. I have lived a real life. I did not grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I'm a military vet. Me and my wife had to go through IVF. I was a high school teacher. I was a coach, like all the things that are really just grounding, I think, for a human being to go through and experience. So I hope that he will, have a conversation connected to education. And I think, what should they be talking about? Well, Donald D. Trump dragged Joe Biden, who he said was napping every day until 4 p.m. And he said that they talked about loan forgiveness and how they couldn't get it done. So I think that is still on the hearts and minds of Americans. These student loans that people are still trying to pay back, and the back and forth between actually getting that passed over the past couple of years. And, even though he dragged them, it hasn't happened because they blocked it at every turn. So I do think they should talk about that. And really we still haven't made it out of the draws and this kind of roundabout that COVID put us in. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, what the heck is K-12 education in America? Like, I don't know who's got a vision for it. Like, I need somebody to kind of paint a picture. Where do you see us? Like, not just for this country, but competing against, other nations. Where are we with STEAM and STEM? Where are we with the arts? Like, where are we? Who are we? Like, what will our children know, understand, and be able to do in 10 years, right? Based on this vision. So I just think there's a lot of ambiguity, and it would be nice to hear some vision connected to that in education. Those are my thoughts.
That's good ass thoughts, man. I gotta really quickly gotta shout out Bill Conrad. Thank you for always being part of the show and your comments, man. Of course, 2 steps in and already the couch commentary on JD Vance.
I know we got McDonald's back as a sponsor. I don't know if we're gonna post the person.
I'm not
we got a sponsor.
I didn't say the exact comment, dude. Just kept it real nice and big, dude. You read my line.
Can't be pissing off the arches right now, man. But it's all good.
Wow. I mean, I think to where Jubilee left off, I think. Well, I maybe starting with, I mean, I don't know if they're going to have any questions. I would hope that there would be a question tonight by the moderators about education. I don't know how that works. Or maybe they're not going to have an audience, but maybe people submitted questions. So if not, I would think that that Waltz would bring it up, just given his background, like Jubilee said. I think he should, if it's not officially a question, he should bring up his background as an educator. I think, public school is definitely like under attack now, right? There's a very well organized movement that is attacking all forms of public education, trying to, do this like scorched earth, like, no rules school choice in a number of different red states, taking public money and using it to, basically go wherever you want for kids and families. And so I think they should talk about it. I think also, in a perfect world, somebody would call out, what Jubilee said, that we're still coming out of, I mean, COVID's still around, but our young people are continuing to feel the effects of the school closures, right? And so like literacy, like can they talk about literacy and the science of reading? The federal government has an important role in like setting the table and the tone with some funding attached to it. But it's really up to the states. But like raising that flag about the literacy crisis, which is real. And then on the other end, making sure that our high school graduates are prepared for the real world and the world at work, right? We talked about that a couple of weeks ago on the show about like linked learning, about what is the purpose of high school, right? It's to prepare young people to go in with the skills that employers are looking for in 2024. So if it comes up, I would hope they would touch some of those points. I'm not sure it's going to come up though.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. So let me take a quick step back. I think it's really important to kind of understand what the Department of Education does to begin with from a national perspective, because there may be some lack of congruence. Jesus, I can't say congruency. Congruency, right, in terms of what it does and what the expectations are. So education, for the most part, is dictated as one of the very last kind of states' rights issues, meaning the state has an inordinate amount of power in terms of where their education is going. Where that leaves the Department of Education is really, in my opinion, twofold. One is what you would call like the bully pulpit, or kind of what Jubilee was talking about is the vision. What vision do we have for public education nationally, and how is that constructed in the message that then gets propagated to the country, saying this is who America is. We believe in public education. These are the goals that we have for public education, and this is the direction that we want to lead it in. So if you remember Barack Obama's administration, his Secretary of Education, Arne Duncan, it was big on innovation. And that is what led the pulpit of that. What the Department of Education is in charge of is taking money and then disseminating money in terms of grants. So as they create the vision, they then help fund that vision through grants. That's it. That's really their powers. There's not a ton that the Department of Education does other than set a vision and help fund that vision through grants. And I would tell you that the Department of Education's budget is pretty minimal. I mean, it is a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction compared to that of the Department of Defense. So it's an important facet to say we're going to create a vision and then we're going to put money behind it. And that's really it. In terms of what, Donald Trump's administration looked like for education, we all remember that it was a lot about privatization. Ton. It wasn't really about innovation. It was much more about private schools and privatization. And, we had a very interesting Secretary of Education then. What do I expect today? You're going to hear about it in the debate because I guarantee you JD Vance is going to discuss, let's dismantle the Department of Ed. When you dismantle that conversational tool, that's a purpose-driven tool by, in my opinion, the Republican Party to eliminate the opportunity of the federal government to set an agenda for public education. And when you eliminate that conversation, it's like, hey, man, if you're not hearing about it, you ain't going to know about it. So the states are going to do some wild, unruly shit. I think this is an opportunity for Tim Walz to jump in and say, there is a place for public education. The dismantling of that is going to unravel the very fabric that our founding fathers had created. By the way, they did. Like, first public libraries, public education was something that was absolutely something that Benjamin Franklin was a massive fan of, as was Thomas Paine when he wrote Common Sense. That's my expectation for education tonight is, are we setting the moral ground of where we are headed and what we need to do educationally as a country and not dismantling that the way I think JD Vance wants to dismantle.
Yeah.
And if you want to put some real quick numbers to that, the annual budget, I think looking at fiscal year 2023 for the U.S. Department of Education was about $80 billion. In the same year, the budget for our military services was about $858 billion. So comparing the two, you're looking at we basically fund education at the federal level at about 10%. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I just did. What I found on the
show me your budget, and I will
show you
tell you
matters.
your values.
Yeah, I'll show you. Show you your values. I think my answer is going to be less sophisticated than you all's, which I appreciate the sophistication in yours. Selfishly, this loan thing is big. I was in the middle of like doing the program. So what you have to do is you have to consolidate all of your loans with the government. So I did that, and when you do that. When you consolidate it, it rises. How much I owe, I just saw it grow significantly. And I was right in the middle of that. And then all the stops in the Supreme Court put on that. So I would love some reassurance from the Harris team. So Walz, that is not fully dead, that they will at least fight for it. I think even if, that's the terminology you use, right? You just say, we'll fight for something, meaning I'm not committing to it, but we still care about it. I think for the other side, I think the other side can make some headway if they put lines in the sand, right? I think everybody's going to be very nebulous about their goals for education, but if they said, hey, if either side came out and said, hey, we're going to improve literacy rates across this country by 30%, or like these are the marks of where we are now, and each of these will go up, and we're going to make this our priority, and then in the first 2 years and the next 2 years it'll be numeracy. I don't know. Somebody has to like not talk around this issue. I think the other thing that's going to be interesting, and I'll bring it back to education, but the longshoremen are the strike started recently. I've been getting a lot of text about that, and hey, don't shop here, don't do this or whatnot. I think that longshoreman, when we talk about like whether we support unions and things like that, like I said, I generally support unions. Like the longshoreman union, they're not really asking for crazy stuff. Now we can talk about this teachers union. That's a whole different conversation. I think they different. I think they built different, and I think they looking for different things. But I do think that people might try to get ahead on that. And I think that you're going to see unions kind of be lumped in. And I think that teachers unions are going to try to lump themselves into with the longshoremen. I think making understand a difference between these folks, because the longshoremen strike is interesting because there are both left and right people upset about this stuff, right? Like most of those people working in those places, not most, a lot of those people are Republican. Like a lot of those people, come from those type of backgrounds. So I think if we talk about education, I want to see like some real conversation around it. And selfishly, I want to hear about this thing that you had me trust y'all on, which I do trust you. I did trust you. But now, am I going to get screwed over because I'm just still in the pipeline of a bureaucratic process that took a long time? Like, did we bite off more than we could chew? So, that's my thing. My next question, and just starting with O on this, because we talked about this right after the just the initial debates when we kind of had that show. Like, just one, what tone did the presidential debate set for today? And also, here's your education slant. You can choose to touch this or not, and you have a dealer's choice option here, Omar. But like how do we feel that there was just a complete omission of any type of education talk in the initial like mainstay debate, since that's the only presidential debate we're gonna get? So you can choose to answer both, one, or go your own way. But the floor is yours.
So reiterate the questions again, brother.
Yeah. So one, just what tone did the first debate set, right? Like for this one, like what are we expecting, and what's connected to that? How do you feel about the first debate just completely omitting education as a whole? I'm not trying to lead anybody's answer, but definitely just trying to steer back to some education.
Oh yeah, very good. So the tone of the first debate was intentional, right? And this was an opportunity for you correct me on her name, Kamala, right? Yeah,
you can say Harris, but I got you.
Yeah. It was a really phenomenally well-constructed tone, because the goal, in my opinion, for the Democrats wasn't necessarily to start pushing out all of the policy ideologies, which I would have loved to see a lot more substance on what was going on policy-wise. It was to basically pigeonhole Trump as a lunatic, as someone who's emotionally unstable and incapable of handling the difficulty of running the country. I mean, Jesus, dude, he can't even run his own businesses successfully. Like, you got Dick Cheney jumping ship on this guy. I mean, let's be honest here. When you got a guy who blew someone's face up with a shotgun and didn't apologize for it, it is like the construct of so much of like the republicanism of this country, jump ship on this guy. I mean, it should tell you a lot. So the tone of the first one, I think, was so much about this person is a lunatic, and I need to show the country that he's incapable of running this place. I think where you're going to see a massive tonal shift is in JD Vance coming back to, we are the party of the people. We understand you. I guarantee you he's going to paint us as West Coast, East Coast elites. We don't understand what the country's all about, and it'll be to his demise. Because where Tim Walz is going to capitalize on this is be like, I am the middle of the country. I do own guns. I am a teacher. I am the middle class. You are a sycophantic West Coast elite. You are the elite, bro. You're a Silicon Valley sycophantic opportunist, social climbing parasite. And you're going to see a tone shift in that Tim Walz is going to regulate, I think, in a much more down-home, Cracker Barrel, kitchen table, Main Street way, JD Vance's like outlandish claims that he understands the middle of this country. He may have come from the middle of this country, but he is far from that. And in that respect, to answer your question, yeah, you're going to see a lot of connection back to education. I was a teacher. Here's what we need to do. Here's the nuts and bolts. This is what we need to do for families and kids. So the juxtaposition, I think, is going to go from macro at the presidential debate into the micro of how it affects everyday Americans in the vice presidential debate. That's where I think you're going to see massive tonal shifts, man. Does that answer the question? I love answering questions, man, but I like asking
Hey
questions
man,
and shit.
you good, brother. You went where you need to go. We got, complete
I like
lunatic.
going
We got
this
a few
direction.
Mad Lib words up in there, B. So you good. Juber, David, one of y'all jump on in there. Follow it. Follow that man.
Jubilee.
Go ahead, Jude. For those
I
that are
can't
only
stop
listening,
laughing.
Jubilee is falling out of her chair.
I wasn't expecting Parasite. That just took me out. I am going to think about that later and literally double over in laughter.
Yeah, it's a good ass word to describe that, man.
But you had already like dinged him with several other words. The Parasite was definitely the nail in the coffin. Like that's it. I don't know. I'm over here thinking about teacher vacancies. I'm thinking about to answer your first question. The fact that they like left it out, skipped it, didn't intentionally even bring it up makes me think we're not focused. Like we are not focused on like keeping the main thing. Because how can we, talk about the future of this country without talking about the state of education? I don't see how that's even possible. We spent time talking about the war. We spent time talking about the accusations around gun ownership. The man even said people are eating cats and dogs. Like, do we have time for this? Like, what? So it just makes me feel like there was an open door there for opportunity, and they didn't take it because they're not focused on it. That's the narrative I feel was created by the fact that they didn't talk about it at all. So I am hoping that does come up tonight. But another issue that I would love to hear about is what are you going to do? We're talking about increasing, literacy, improving math instruction, all of this. Where the teachers at? Teacher prep programs are declining. The people enrolling in those programs, that's declining. There's 55,000 according to Ed Week. There's 55,000 vacancies across the nation, 270,000 underqualified teachers in these positions because they can't find no teachers. So how are we going to improve reading and math in the nation if we don't have enough teachers? So, and then we have chronic absenteeism. So the kids ain't going to school like they used to. And then if they do get there, we ain't got no good teacher to teach them. So what are we really doing? All right. So that's where my mind is looping. And who knows if they get into, I don't necessarily could weeds, right? But I don't think they'll get into that tonight. But I would hope that the people who would be running this country would have that, top of mind.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think if it's interesting that education did not come up at the first debate. Will it come up tonight? We don't know. But if you're a politician that's looking, politicians, they run for office and they're about one thing. It's about winning, right? Getting votes. That's all that it's about. Without lying too much about what you say you're going to do and promise. But in the USA, as of last year, there are 50 million children that attend K-12 public schools. And that includes charter schools. 50 million, right? Talk about like a demographic of like, obviously with the exception of probably some of the seniors, they're not voters, but they have parents that vote, right? And we've yet to hear, I think what we might hear tonight is some of this rhetoric from Vance about, destroying the Federal Department of Education, about vouchers, right? About school choice, right? Those are all things that parents are like, oh, that sounds good to me. I don't really know what it means, but if I could have more choice as a parent, I'll take it, right? Whereas I've actually heard more from the Republican camp about their education platform than I have from the Democrat Party camp around their ideas around public education. And I think that's a huge liability for Harris and Walz to not come out front with a clear platform around, their vision for public education for the next 4 years. 50 million children.
Yeah, man. I just on that same tip, man. I have something very interesting to say, but you got to come back on the other side with us because we have to take pay a bill real quick. But we'll be back, and I'll have my thoughts.
Today's episode of BS3 Network is brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's is going to McDonald's and creating a universe for longtime fans of both McDonald's and anime. I love sauce on my McNuggets and can't wait to try the savory chili McDonald's sauce. It's savory, chili, and bold. For decades, across various episodes and genres, McDonald's has shown up in the anime world and most commonly called McDonald's. McDonald's will be bringing the McDonald's world to life with episodic shorts and manga comics. For a limited time, anime fans will have the opportunity to experience their favorite fictional restaurant. You have until March 25th to try the new savory chili McDonald's sauce with your 10-piece chicken nuggets.
So, well, thank you, McDonald's. Glad to have you back as a partner. I will say this: it actually isn't that interesting. I just needed to segue into the commercial. But here's my thought about it, man. I don't expect much from either side on this. I don't know if, I haven't deemed education to be a sexy enough topic, and I think that's where we have to come in and kind of say, hey, this is something that the American people care about. But I don't know if people really do. I think that I didn't see a lot of outrage around it not being a topic. Except for people like me that work in education and they kind of really care about it. I think at this point, listen, man, it is. I don't want to sound very. I know I'm voting for who I'm voting for. Like it's pretty clear I'm voting for Harris. I'm not super happy about it. I'm gonna just be very honest with you. I'm absolutely not voting for Trump and JD. I think JD is definitely overplayed his hand. He should have just kept making his movies, doing his thing. When he made that movie, he was a rock star. If he would have just not said nothing, Brett could have just rolled out and just been, getting that love that he was getting. And now it's like, bro, you are a kook. But I just,
yeah.
I mean, but hey, we all make decisions in life. You know what I'm saying? I just think, I don't really have faith in any of it. And a lot of this is like a defensive vote. And I don't like doing defensive votes. I want to be inspired by somebody, man. But look, it ain't about who you want to have a beer with or who you want to date, who got the policies that is going to work the most with your life and what you need. And you got to kind of go from there. I don't expect them to do much today on that topic. I do expect if it does come up, there'll be some posturing. I can tell you, I feel like I know what's going to be said. If education comes up, Tim is going to lean heavily on unions. He's going to lean heavily on the teachers union and the need to respect them and that the union cares more about education than the other side. And Trump and Vance is going to focus on, the Department of Education is a redundancy. It's a waste of money. It actually doesn't prove anything. And it just kind of gets in the way. And it's another sign of overregulation and government overextending itself when it's not able to even do the basics well. I feel like when you feel like the answers like that off the back of the rip, like it's just, I don't know, man. It doesn't seem to make you super excited. I will be watching, but it's also because I'll be on a panel later discussing it. So that's why I'm watching. I mean, because my decision is made. I don't know who this 15 or 20% of the country is that still is making a decision. I don't know what new things you're going to see. I don't know what the criteria is, but God is a funny comedian in the sense that the people that tend to be the least informed tend to be the last ones to pick. So they get pandered to as being undecided voters. God's plan, I will never question you, brother. I promise you I won't. So that's, man,
I will say this,
that's my jaded thought.
Let's never, first off, it's a self-selected group of people, right? So people are going to tune in. They're probably going to already have an idea about where what they want to hear. But I will say this, never underestimate the ability of people to be persuaded. We all thought that's the point I'm making. I don't.
I think they're being rewarded for not, and it's fine. I'm not. That's why everybody's gonna pander tonight. Everybody's gonna be pandering. I ain't mean to cut you off, but
no. I'm just saying, I was having this conversation with my grad school buddies, right? And without sounding like name dropping and shit, who the hell are your grad school buddies? Like, this
Go
is
ahead,
the
name
Harvard
drop.
Kennedy School, man. Yeah, the Harvard Kennedy School. Get in, name drop that shit. We're running the
Make sure
country.
they don't lose their
Like,
clearance, Omar.
these-
You know, Omar about to get people kicked out the White House. Like, hold
No,
on.
man, I ain't naming names, man. They need to be written, like, anonymous as hell. But like, these are people who are like running the country. These are people that are in the midst of these decisions, literally. And you know, we had a conversation over text, and it's like, well, what like, are these debates going to have any effect? And I was like, I don't know. That Biden debate sure had a big ass effect, a humongous effect. We has this ever happened? We lost the presidential candidate outside of a convention and made an enormous switch. That is how powerful that debate was. That is how much change that one debate, that debate ensued with. Then you were like, well, what's the Kamala debate going to do? I was like, holy smokes. That debate, I
Kamala,
think,
they gonna get you.
solidified.
You better say
Kamala,
Harris,
thank
they
you.
gonna get you.
Kamala, yeah,
gonna
man, I
get
feel you. Thank you. Is like,
be
that
kinda
changed the
by the end of the night.
trajectory altogether. Man, listen, man, Kamala, I could sound like Trump all day long. Vice President Harris shifted the conversation completely away from what it was into what it is. Like, that was
Yeah.
a radical shift in tone, a
Yeah.
radical shift
Right.
in the nature of everyone's thoughts. So, like, is this one going to have that effect? I don't know yet. Like, I
As a
really
VP,
don't know.
I don't disagree with you, and I'm glad that we have some good crosstalk now. Y'all jump on in because me and Oa just keep going. Y'all should have watched our politics only debate. It was great.
I know you had a great time.
We had fun. We had a blast because we
had
nerded
a
about
good
this
ass
shit.
time.
But here's the thing I would say: has a VP debate ever swung it like that? We have seen it before. We saw it with
Yes. Yes, it has. Tell me when. You know it, brother.
if you're about to go back to the Mondale days, I will say before we go there, I will say, you saw this just as political science students, Kennedy won off his debate. Like Walter Carr just looked terrible. What I'm saying is this: I'm not talking about
Nixon.
that first debate. I think presidential debates and early on, I think they got a lot. What I'm saying is, what is it that in a VP debate to any of the four people on these screens, what can the other side say to you today to where you're like, I think I might shift. I think I might jump shift. That's really how I should have there's a group of people. There's still like about upwards of 20% of people that are saying that they're undecided. I don't know if I believe them.
I don't think when I'm thinking about me and my data brain, like, what exactly are you undecided about? Like, I needed more data around that point. Like, why are you undecided? Right. And then it also makes me think, like, how much of this is really more so about charisma and believability?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we care about education because we're in the sector. You know what I'm saying? And we have personal like passion and purpose connected to this work. Right. If nobody cares, not saying that we would do it for free, right? But we probably at some point have volunteered our time to do stuff in education. We weren't necessarily, compensated for it, but because we cared about the work. Right. And it just also happened to, sustain us for all this time we've been in this work. So we care. We deeply care about this. Right. But sometimes you hear voters say, well, I'm not voting for them because they are pro-abortion. Right. And I'm pro-life. They don't even know anybody who got an abortion. They don't want an abortion. But because that they represent certain values, they're like, okay, well, I'm voting for them. Right.
Well, yeah. But those people not swaying though, right? Like those people are
yeah. But all I'm saying is, do you feel like these undecided people are so like staunch and they are going to be swayed one way or another? Or is it by specific topics, or is it more so like, I just want to know if I could believe what you're saying, right? You look like a lunatic. You sound smart. Maybe our country would be good in your hands. Like, I don't actually care about a lot of this stuff you're talking about. I don't care about the war. I don't care about education. I graduated. I work at I'm saying, I'm not speaking for me. The undecided people, like, I don't know that everyone always cares deeply about all of these issues that the candidates get up there and talk about. I do think at some point it's like, okay, well, either what's the lesser of two evils, or is the person that I'm voting for, do they sound believable that they're not going to have our country turn into an entire double shit show?
I actually got a thought on it. I'll go after David. I'll hold it. I got a thought on that though. I'll go after you, David.
Yeah. I mean, I think I agree. I don't think there are going to be any big like aha moments tonight, or like, wow, I didn't think that Vance had that position, or Walz had that position, right? The positions are kind of out there. But I do think it's going to come down to like performance, right?
Yeah.
Your ability to like perform on a stage, to not get like triggered, to not lose your cool, to be able to like respond in a particular way. I think a lot of it's going to come down to that. And I think, and that's what people are kind of looking for. I agree with you though. I would love to like dive into any kind of data that exists out there that has anything to say about the mind of an undecided voter on October 1st, 2024. Like,
For real. I'm almost like, you just don't want nobody in your business. You know who you vote for.
Yeah, but like,
say it.
So I think for like the gun.
Let me throw it to you. I don't want to lose this part. I will say, yep. I will push myself in my original thing. I think that in undecided voters, it might not be, am I undecided between, am I voting for Harris or Trump, or do I like Walz or Vance? It might be, I've been a Democrat for so long, but am I going to go out and vote for them, or am I staying home? I've been a Republican for so long, but am I going to vote for them, or am I staying home? Like, you got one more chance to like get me out. And I do think that the couch is going to be a very important factor this year, like who actually goes out, because I am.
Oh, I thought you meant JD Vance's couch. I was like, yo, what?
Well, no. See, that's you. I wasn't even thinking about that. That was very sophomoric of you, Omar. This is why we love you.
But man, I love sophomoric humor.
Don't lose your spot though. Oh, but but that's how I think people might be like looking at it. I think we are underestimating. There's a lot of people having like a conscious, like a crisis of conscience around like, I really don't like neither one of these people. I really don't know if much is going to change either way. Like, I can't do it. Like, I can't do it. So I do think that it gained a little bit more importance now that I just thought about that, because in my own circles of people that I know, or people like in my family that's not super politically active like we are, in education like we are, that's kind of the sentiment of like, I guess I'll vote, like I don't know. It depends if I got something else going on. What's happening locally? Is there something locally that's exciting for me to vote on? So yeah, go ahead. I left out that part.
Yeah, let me go back to something. Do I think vice presidential debates matter? And historically, let's talk about two that had a radical impact on the occasion. And like, we don't need to go all the way back to Walter Mondale, man. Dan Quayle versus Al Gore.
Look at this guy in the chat. Look at this man in the chat.
Why? Well, you can't do it. You can't encourage him. What are you doing?
Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Omar.
I mean, listen, man, I don't want to lose our sponsor, man. But I got to tell you, some funny ass stuff going on.
At least you have to do some legwork on that one.
Diaper Dottie is crazy.
That's hysterical, by the way, man. But like, that debate changed the landscape, because like you had George Bush and Clinton, and like Clinton smeared Bush, and God, that debate was so funny, because if y'all remember, God, man, what was his name? I'll think of it in a second as I continue talking. The third candidate in the 1992
talking about Ross Perot
presidential race. Yeah, Ross Perot, man. Yeah, we're gonna build a wall. He was the first to talk about the wall, man.
I love Ross Perot helped the Democrats out a lot.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. He was lost.
Yeah. Yes, he did. And so did his vice presidential candidate, the general, who, by the way, in that debate, man, holy smokes. Like, that's a good component of like a vice presidential debate, where they were just like, what's up with the general? He just kind of looks stoic. And Saturday Night Live did such a good satire on that. Sarah Palin versus Joe Biden. Yo, That was the nail in the cross for McCain and the Biden administration. So what I'm getting at is that, like, this is the kind of thing that can help kind of push something over the hill. Whereas, like, people are like, all right, like, I'm not that enthused, but I'm kind of reticent to vote on the right. But should I? And you're right, Doc. Is it a matter of, do I stay home or do I go out and vote? And I think a vice presidential candidacy can switch it, because if Vance is going bananas, which he may or may not do, I would suggest that he doesn't, given the fact that, like, Trump's performance, I mean, god dang, man, that looked like the, like, 1950s circus that, like, went awry, where, like, animal abuse was still a huge thing. It was like you just couldn't stop watching the train wreck that he put himself into. I think Vance has got to recover from that. But if in any way, shape, or form Waltz puts him into a corner that resembles what happened in the presidential debate, this could be one of those tipping points like Palin did and like Dan Quayle did.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I think
that's some callbacks, baby.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I forgot about Sarah Palin. I mean, you brought back some oldies but goodies.
Yeah, man. I mean,
never forget her.
Then,
I just want to.
I can't forget her.
Think about how much Saturday Night Live
I can't forget
capitalized on that.
How could I have forgotten about the good, terrible Sarah Palin? I did. But this is
I could see Alaska from my house.
Russia.
Yeah, that's right. She was from Alaska. I could see Russia from my house.
You should, because they used to own it and they sold it to us for very cheap. But yes,
well, there's
Mhm.
that.
I'm looking up. Go ahead.
Oh no, I think I might have forgot my point. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. The vote is still very frail. I think this undecided section. I remember them doing a report on people that shifted parties for our last election. And they were going around talking to Republicans that had shifted and become either independent or Democrat. And I remember these two elderly people, they showed them like the before and after. It was like Trump 2020, Trump 2020. And then COVID hit and they were like, what are your thoughts now? Like, we're not voting. We've become Democrats. We have moved on. It was like, well, why have you decided to no longer be Republicans? Trump, the way he handles COVID, etc. So I say all that to say that vote is frail, and if something happens over the next 3 weeks that needs to be handled by the administration influenced by Trump, whatever, somebody can decide that the picture.
No, you froze, and you froze, and
I froze.
It's okay.
Keep going. You're good.
That's all. That was my point. The vote is frail, and people switch at the last minute. If one of the parties, drops the ball with something, they're like, oh hell no, I'm not voting for you. I'm voting for that. That's all.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I think going back in history, it's interesting. I think VP debates are like relatively new. I don't know if VPs did debates like in the 70s. I'm looking back at some archives here. So the George H.W. Bush versus Geraldine Ferraro in 1984, right? Was because that was like the first time I think a woman had run for vice president, right? 1988, Lloyd Benson versus Dan Quayle, right?
Nice.
Where Dan Quayle compared himself to JFK. He's like, Senator, you're no Jack Kennedy, right?
Yeah, I know Jack Kennedy. I met Jack Kennedy. You're no Jack Kennedy.
1992, Al Gore versus Dan Quayle versus James Stockdale. Wow. Oh yeah, it's
the general.
That was Ross Perot's.
General
DP guy. Yeah,
he shined, baby. They
Stockdale opened with, "Who am I? Why am I here?" 2008, Joe Biden and Sarah Palin, right? And then 2016 with Tim Kaine and Mike Pence. So, yeah,
that was forgettable though. Tim Kaine, what
super forgettable.
Like rock me to sleep.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think tonight, we'll see. I mean, there's some history to the importance of the VP debate. None of it talks about education, but still, I think I
gonna
hope
be
people
interesting,
tune in.
man.
I think Tim
yeah,
Walz is gonna be a firecracker. I really do. I feel like
I think
gonna
so.
come out the gate swinging.
Right now, he's ready. Right now, he's probably doing push-ups and like
Tim Walz.
I think they both should be pumped, man. Listen, man. I think you need your VP. Your VPs can be a little meaner. They can be a little rougher. They can be, like Joe Biden was actually a really good VP when that happened, because he could just kind of come out and kind of be that dude. It's gonna be interesting, man. Listen, I don't want my Jade to impact anybody. I think people should watch it. I'm gonna watch it. We'll see how it goes. I am very curious of, like, not necessarily who the undecided voters are, but I do think that this is gonna be, hey, can Walz lock up Democrats that are wavering, not on wavering to vote for the Republicans, but wavering whether they should vote or not, and can Vance get some, get some of their people back, right? Like, and I think Vance represents two very different levels of the Republican Party. There are a lot of people. Listen, Republicans don't eat their own. They just don't in the same way Democrats do. So it's going to be interesting. The bar is so low for the just come out and don't look crazy, and they're going to be like, okay, we're back, because it's like you said earlier, Jubilee. People listen. When I grew up, it was two things you didn't argue. You didn't argue people's religion and their politics. During my lifetime is when people start openly talking about who they're voting for and what policies they're voting for. And I wouldn't be surprised if they actually go back to not talking about those things so openly again. But I think it's going to be really interesting. But if you're somebody in your belief system, like, it's very clear. Like, it's not like they run in a race that's like right next to each other. It's like one group said, hey, we want to control this whole body thing, and somebody else was saying, nah, this is crazy. But people are strong on those sides, and usually the strongest on either side of that are dug in, and nothing's going to change that. But anyway, let's real quick rapid fire, just final thoughts. Our matriarch, what you got for us?
The future of education is in our hands. I mean, it's for us to continue to keep it at the forefront of our conversations and our spheres of influence. I'm not waiting on any of these people to do anything. So I think to your point about our agency and doing what we can, I think that's what it's all going to come down to, and whether or not we can continue to be an influential source to others to kind of pick up the torch and do the same.
David.
That was so beautiful and eloquent, man. Damn, who's going to follow that?
Well, David was, but now you are Omar. Yeah. Now let's let Omar follow it. Go ahead, Omar.
What the hell kind of shit is that? You're like, I'm telling you need to follow up. I just complimented her. No, and now you firing shots.
No, she had to follow you last time. She had to follow you when you called all the kind of names.
Some new type shit right here, man. I'm just trying to live. Even McDonald's is like, God, man, give this man a Big Mac. What the hell is that? Man, I'll follow. I like going in the middle, man. That way the beard of knowledge can kind of round us out and shit. Here's what I think. While we may hear some on education, voters are going to care about issues that are going to make an indelible impact on their ability to get up and vote. And I'm going to go in a different direction. He's going to talk about weed. He wants the weed. He legalized the weed. He wants to talk about the weed. I guarantee you Tim Walz will bring something up about the legalization that happened in Minnesota, how it was an economic factor, and how the Democrats are the party of economic modality and the future, and why J.D. Vance and the Republicans are the pest. That is one of those issues that's going to get someone up. Hey, man, that is a couch issue, man. You know how many people in Colorado got up and voted? I mean, to get them off the couch and vote, God praise America, man. It was a badass thing to see all those people. Yeah, man. You want to get those kids out the vote? You want the 18 to 24-year-olds? Better bring up that weed.
You right. Bring up the ganja.
Sample joints at the at
Edibles.
you know.
Hell yeah, man. Give me my $35 Compton swap meet gift certificate, my $20 sack of weed. That's an old callback to the Dr. Dre album.
We are off
Yeah,
the
man.
rails. Go ahead, David. We are
Yeah,
love
off.
it. I love it.
I'm lost. Okay.
You're not lost. You're talking about weed, David. Where do you fall?
Yeah.
Amazing grace. You were lost and now you're found.
I don't think. Let me change my hat. Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
No.
Ooh.
I mean, unfortunately, I don't think education is going to take up like a big chunk of tonight's, content at the debate. Probably won't hear about it at all. I think the events, like I said earlier, the attack on Israel by Iran and the tensions in the Middle East are definitely going to be kind of like front and center. And I think it's also like a forum that like Vance is just not like versed in. He's never been engaged in like, global kind of like politics like that. Right. So, and Waltz too, obviously, but I think it'll definitely come up in terms of an issue. I think the economy will likely come up, but the economy is kind of an interesting thing because some people can say it's like, nobody can say it's really bad. Nobody can say it's really good. It's like we're getting mixed indicators right now, right? So yeah, I mean, I'll be interested to see what they come up with. I think a lot of it will come down to like personality, their backgrounds, and then their ability just to like pull it off, right? Their oratory skills, their ability to respond. I think, in terms of like style points, Waltz comes in as a heavy favorite because that's kind of what he does. So it'll be interesting to see the two of them go head to head. That's my take, but I'll be watching.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch. I mean, you kind of have to. I am now praying that this is the legendary weed debate. I am so praying for it. It would be
Hoping for it.
That would be great.
so entertaining, and I mean, get wild with it. Start talking about weed in schools. I don't know, like me.
I just feel like that's also going to make a lot of
Shock.
Americans squeeze their butt cheeks together because
Shock me.
listen, there's
I'm
a bunch of people for it, and there's a bunch of people that's like, no, our world is
You're
going to
gonna
go
see.
to hell.
I'm interested to
Yep.
see. I'm
Yep.
interested to be entertained. That's my
That would
final
be good,
thought.
though.
That's Omar. That's David. That is our matriarch Jube, and you heard Jube's pup that I affectionately called that damn dog who likes to be
Love
on the
that
show.
pup, baby.
Yes.
I am Charles, and we will see you all next week. Same bat time, same bat station. You all take care of yourselves and each other. God bless. Peace.
Woo!